Hello, everyone. We're gonna start now. This is KE7VLC. Got Dennis,
KE7YLB.
and then we're gonna do one other thing here, really quick. Here, I'm gonna bring in Vinny here. How you doing, Vinny? It's N1LQJ in the house tonight, live from Which planet are you on tonight, Vinny? Yeah, yeah, exactly. A long ways away from where I live. In a galaxy far, far away. About 40 miles to the to the west of me. All right. um, so we got a nice little split screen going on right now. I got Vinny up in the upper left hand corner, and I got Dennis and myself down in the lower right hand corner. Um, so this is welcome to the Mesa Amateur Radio Club, basically meeting tonight. I'll go ahead and move Vinny down here so he's on the same level as all of us instead of all hail Vinny. Um, Obviously, our website is in the background. You know, feel free to bookmark it and save it. Uh, it's basically www.whiskey-mike7romeocharlie.org. That's wm7rc.org. And we got a little bit of a full plate tonight. I kind of planned it that way just so that we have plenty of little topics. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off first. We're going to start with the Socrative. Um, if everybody could, anybody and everybody who is on tonight, if you guys want to go to www.socrative.com, SOCRATIVE.com, log in under the student login, and the room is going to be Mesa Arc 1, so it's MESA ARC 1. And I don't see anybody else in the chat room right now. I'm looking over and I don't see anybody in the chat room right now, so I imagine that there's going to be probably nobody on tonight. I know Frank was going to try to attend if he can tonight, but he had something else going on, so we might actually just not do this tonight. I was hoping that we'd at least get a couple people in here tonight.
People still watch it delayed, though.
Yeah, we got this recording, so it will be on for a little bit later on. So, Vinny, I'm going to share my screen now with you. Yeah, it's already being shared, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, good. All right, now where did you go, Vinny? Shoot, where did it go? Vinny disappeared on me for some strange reason. He's not there. Oh well. We'll find him. He's around here somewhere. I think he's just hiding under. Oh wait, he might actually be.
Crawl behind his coffee mug.
Yeah, crawl behind his coffee mug. So. Yes. So the first question I put up here tonight was, what are the restrictions on the use of abbreviations or procedural signals and amateur radio? And since nobody's out there on the thing, we'll go right ahead and no secret codes allowed. And I misspelled secret. So they're allowed, but they cannot obscure the meaning of a message. So that's key number one right there. Yes.
Not to get confused with another question.
Uh-huh.
By an amateur extra, if it's the control of the spacecraft.
Yes.
It's a separate question, but you are allowed to obscure the meaning of your message or encrypt the message if it's the control of the spacecraft. You have to be an amateur extra to do that.
That is correct. Yes. but you're not allowed to sit there and you know pass secret codes like you know Han Solo 1. This is James Bond. Did you get the package? Because that doesn't necessarily identify exactly what it is. So you kind of have to be on the open up and up. Um, so that's one of the things that you need to be paying attention to. Let's see here.
Right. That also means don't turn off your mouth, brain to mouth filter either.
That is correct. Yeah, yeah. You kind of have to play it by play it by ear and see exactly what's going on. Now things like aid station 1 or SAG vehicle or something like that is perfectly allowed. Um,
Right. Those are tactical calls.
those are tactical. Yeah, exactly. And you're allowed to do that, but you're not allowed to obscure the meaning of your transmission. So you're not allowed to do secret codes. So um, so that's going to be the first question there. So the next thing that I was going to do is we were going to do a show and tell, and I'm trying to get where did Vinny's image go? That's what I'm trying to fix right this second here. This is going to be a fun one. Um,
What are you looking for?
I'm trying to find you.
You're lost, Vinny.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, there had to be someone in the background.
Yeah,
All we hear is a voice.
no. Yeah, you disappeared on me. Yeah, this is our first night trying this, so bear with us on this. Um,
Maybe that's what matters.
yeah, that's all that really matters. So what we're gonna,
Go down by that camera thingy in the dock and click on that.
Can you see us, Vinny?
yeah.
No.
No?
Okay.
Well, no, he can't see us because I've got him on the screen share right this second. So if I was to do,
You know
um,
what?
He needs to
Go up.
see for
I got
a
it.
show and
I know
tell.
it. Go on options. You're viewing a right screen. Is there an options box?
yeah, there is an options box here. Let's see. Well, let's see here. Where is my camera? For some strange reason, my camera disappeared on me too. Oh, it has my it has my first camera as well as my second camera. You got a cool whiteboard though. You do a cool whiteboard. Haha.
Your camera's turned off for me.
Is it?
Yeah, when I go to participants, there's a red line through your camera.
Okay. That's interesting because it's showing that it is select a camera and it's showing it is visible.
Yeah, but it's like got a red line through it.
Alt B. That's interesting. All right. Well, we'll have to play with this. Ah, there we
There
go.
you are, Vinny.
I found you.
Yeah, now I see it.
He pulled you out of hyperspace.
Let's see here.
Now I need to see your screen though.
Yes. Let's see here. Okay, go back to there, and we'll share that. And then you disappeared on me, but that's all right.
Well, you may have to give up the background.
Yeah, that's all right. We might have to do that. We'll see what happens here. So, all right. So, Vinny, can you see me or can you see the screen now?
I see the screen. That's all I need.
Okay. All right. So, what I was gonna do was I was gonna pass it off over to Dennis for show and tell. I'm still showing 0 people in the chat room, so I guess we're still just doing live videos. So let's.
Now you know how the Apollo.
Yeah. Exactly.
Tell it who's watching.
So, did Vinny? Did you want to talk about that antenna project?
Yeah, we have a hand couple out in Gilbert that is Dennis and I are working on, and they want to basically put up a somewhat stealthy antenna. And he has a version of a ham stick where you can change taps on it. It looks old. I don't know if it's going to work that well without maybe replacing it, but we're going to try to put it up on his patio. And he has a steel railing that's bolted into the framework around the place, and he wants to put it in the back corner of the patio. So I did some measurements, and if we do two 7 by 7 inch aluminum plates, maybe a 1/4 inch thick or a little thicker, and we drill quarter holes in each corner, because it's really 6 by 6 squares of thick, and we put a 1/4 20 smooth locking hardware to hold it. The plan is to mount a ball mount to the one of the outside plates, and then just put a ham stick on there in the back corner of the apartment on the 3rd floor. And you'll get the grounding capacitively through the paint on the grounded railing. You can also run a ground wire to the outlet and just put it to the ground from the railing to give them a ground plane putting it down.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, if you're using it, if it's a big grill, it'll be a good counterbalance for the antenna.
And I also plan to ground the grill for the ground screw on the nearby outlet too.
Well, the grill doesn't have to be grounded, it just has to be big.
Well, there's a big grill and a small grill. This one's approximately maybe 1 meter by a ½ meter high, so I don't know if it'll be enough counterplate. But the grill is bolted to the side of the house, so I'm hoping it catches the chicken wire in the house. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if you can see me, I brought something I think will work without you having to do all that stuff.
Well,
okay.
We can.
Well, I can't see you right now, but if you put on the video, I mean, I can always.
So you got. Do we want to do an overhead camera of that, of what Dennis brought then?
Well, hang on a second. What I can do right now is, instead of you guys trying to debug this, is I can go to YouTube and pull up the that way.
Okay. Well, Dennis is almost ready with what he's pulling out right this second.
We're talking hardware here.
I'll put it right over here, right in front of my keyboard.
The only thing he's anxious to, he said it was in a rush, and he said anxious to get on the air, and I totally understand that.
Yeah.
What's today's date? 25th, right?
23rd.
Oh, where's the 10:25 meeting?
We don't have a 10:25 meeting.
Oh, 10:23 meeting.
Yeah.
Meeting, live now.
Yep.
Okay, now I see some. Hang on.
Vinny, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm watching on the YouTube feed because I'm interested with you guys. You've got 2 metal pieces here. Can you explain those to me?
Can you explain these two pieces?
Okay, this is a
Camera's right there.
mirror mount out of an old industrial laser. It's got an angle here to put your antenna out from the wall. It's got a matching plate to mount it to your grill. The holes may or may not line up to what you have there, but new holes can be drilled. Anyway,
okay, well, it needs
you may not even need the ball mount.
Mirror mount out of an old industrial laser. An angle here.
Did he disappear?
Your antenna out.
No, he's still there. He's basically what he's doing is he's watching the YouTube video.
Okay, so it has like a okay, but Dennis,
yes.
It has a pitch on it to angle it away from the roof a little, right?
You'll have to speak up. I can't hear you clearly.
Okay, it has a slight pitch on it Can you turn it 90 degrees so I can see the angle?
It's not 90, it's about 30.
It's a 30-degree pitch, right? So we'd have to drill a 1-inch hole in the middle for the ball mount, correct?
Right. Either that or you can do what I did on this one, is to put a series of covering of most of the different types of mounts that is available. You wouldn't have to use the ball mount. It would just poke out there. And it's not 90, it's about 30.
You can hear the delay.
Either that or you can do what I did on this one. I mean, I can drill the holes for these style of mounts rather easily.
Now let's do this. Let's do.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so we could literally just do a plastic grommet through.
Yeah, we could.
And eliminate the ball mount altogether.
Yeah.
Okay, that works. Then that's just a single hole. We put the plastic bushing washing through so it insulates, and then we can just put the lug nut wire to the backside, and we're done. What's the spacing of the holes there, Ryan? Are they more 7 or so inches apart on the bottom?
On the bottom down here?
Yes. How far apart are those holes?
Plate.
That's going to be about, I'm going to guess about 3 or 4 inches apart. Because it's about the spacing of my hand. I don't have a tape measure. I'd have to run out to the garage and grab one, but
I don't think it's 7 inches as you requested.
The thing is, the railings are just about 6 inches apart, so we just need a wider than that. Because I have to straddle the rails to clamp it down. That makes sense?
okay.
Well, I couldn't.
So straddle the rails. We have our assembly right there.
Yeah.
Now are the holes 4.5 inches apart? You wanted 7-inch plates, so I'm assuming you're going in at least an inch or two on each side or each corner for your bolt.
Right, and it doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, I think if we put in the bottom piece, the bottom rail, then it could be a smaller. Either they go inside or they go outside. But you know what I mean? They can't fall in the same place as the middle where the bars go. We can straddle one bar. I guess it'll work just fine. We either straddle one bar or we straddle 2 bars, so it'll work fine.
How about on the top of the banner, the banister? It could mount up there, couldn't it?
It could, either way. But we'd have to draw, I don't know, we have to measure the bushing with my calipers, because we'd drill the hole through, and then we put we get a plastic bushing washer that goes through, and then that will insulate the 3/8 diameter threaded piece as it goes through the aluminum. We might have to drill a countersunk hole in the backside so that we can put the nut on, because the antenna might not be long enough. The 3/8 piece on the antenna might not be long enough to go through that piece thick of aluminum. So we drill a counterbore hole, maybe like 1 inch thick, halfway through it or more, and then we drill a 3/8 hole on the other side plus the diameter, might be a little bit more thick diameter because of the bushing. Put the bush through, put the nut on the backside, we're done. We don't have to buy anything except the screws and lock washers. We have our solution right there.
Okay. I brought some other pieces that are a possibility using a U-bolt.
And I thought about that too. Let me see those.
It would go like this, and then you would mount the antennas like that to go
Yeah. The YouTube video has a delay, so I'm just kind of waiting for the video thing code of these.
So, yeah. So sorry everyone for the little delay. We're trying something out, something new tonight. We're using a Zoom meeting for Vinny. He's connecting from home over to my house, and then we're obviously transmitting across the great wild west of the internet. Um, these two plates match up, and then
That would
this
work too. It looks like that middle plate piece already has a hole in the middle, doesn't it?
This one.
The one with the silver and unanodized piece on it already has a hole in the middle, doesn't it?
Pretty close to it, right down here. Yes.
We have to bore it out some, but
Oh yeah.
we could U-bolt mount that one in your right hand. And does the U-bolt fit in that one in the middle?
This hole right here.
The one to the right, the one in the middle, already has a hole in the middle piece. See it?
Yeah, there's a hole there.
Yep. No, the U-bolt wouldn't fit in there.
No. The antenna would fit, and if we bore that out.
Oh,
Are there
yeah.
U-bolts on the adjacent piece we could U-bolt to?
We would have to find a smaller U-bolt, but yeah, we could do that.
It depends on the size of the banister and whatever you're attaching it to. These are just pieces I have from this whole industrial laser.
So where'd you cut these on the laser? Heat sink or at home?
No, this came from a laser, from an industrial laser.
Yeah, used it to burn plates at the newspaper.
Okay,
it was a monster.
Drill. Okay. Okay. I think the two options are the two square pieces and the other piece that's still sitting on the table to the left.
Now, are they going to have to take this thing on and off at regular intervals, not to get in trouble with the management?
The intention is to leave it up. Now, if they have to take it on and off, since they're on the third floor, I'm hoping that if we put it to the top of the railing in the back corner where they don't see it, they can simply unthread the hamstick.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, this other one I have is a dismount thing. It grabs the railings. It's got a C-clamp built into it. I could make something like that, and you just clamp it onto the railing when you want to use it.
Can you show me that one again?
Yep, it's up on the screen. A little bit of a delay here. Hold on one second. It'll come in.
Maybe a minute before our visitors watching the meeting will see that come up, because I can't even see it yet.
Yeah.
That's what I use when I travel and stay in hotels. I go out and clamp that thing out on the banister and put my antennas on it. So far, I haven't found a banister I couldn't clamp to.
And I like that because that's got three different mounts, so he can select different types of antennas.
No, you just spin it around for whichever way it's on a pipe.
No, I think he was talking about this.
Okay. And how much would it cost to manufacture something like that?
Huh?
How much would it cost to make this? Something like this.
The only thing I don't have is the clamp. I'd have to find a similar C-clamp. That's off of some chemistry lab equipment. They used to hold something to a pipe. I was looking, I got it from All Electronics, but I was on the site today and they don't have them anymore, so it would probably be a major thing to find one. But you could modify a regular C-clamp to do the same thing. Or a fixed spring clamp.
See, even Joanne's even commenting that she needs something like that. It wouldn't be bad.
I'm thinking that given the options, what we should do is the, the couple we're trying to help. I should have them watch this video, and then select what they feel would be best before we go forward.
Yeah, or we can do a site visit and let them take a look and see. But yeah, either way.
Yeah, we could do a visit. I have a CLC project next week, so I'm going to be tied up for the paper. But the week after that, maybe a Sunday or something, if you guys are available on a Sunday.
Uh, Quite possibly. I might be in quartzsite myself, but
Going to the big thing over there.
no, my dad's over there and needs some help.
Oh.
Matter of fact, speaking of another radio project, my dad's asked me to help him install a mobile radio on his Razor. So that's going to be a fun project. So, but yeah,
Well, you got the BMC, you got the 3/8, and you got everything on that thing.
yeah,
Well,
he's got it.
That's the idea. Everything you need.
That wouldn't be too bad to actually even construct either. Just
Well, this was a piece that I saw no use for in anything but that.
oh yeah,
It's just an odd piece that was on the laser.
okay.
I mean, this is all built to military specs.
You have such an abstract mind, Dennis, that you can see something out of a piece of old equipment and just go with it.
Well, I've got a ton of this stuff. I got to do something with it. Other than melt it down into a big ball.
That's why we keep Dennis around. He comes up with some really great ideas on antennas. Some work, some don't, but he's not afraid to try.
But I mean, that's why I appreciate Dennis and Frank so much. What a bunch of guys with master's degrees do, unless you have people actually execute what we need.
Yeah.
We're useless on the bench comparatively.
Oh
I
yeah.
used to be on the bench, but that was so many years ago.
Oh yeah. All right. Oh, and Joanne's saying that she's got a Diamond NR 770 HB with about 9 feet of cable. Not a bad idea for the FT 160. We'll have to look that radio up. Let's see here. All right. Was there anything else you wanted to discuss about that?
No. I was just joking. I do appreciate Frank and Dennis.
Oh well, you know, Frank
and tell Joanne, any of these other people, these other pieces you need or want, they're adoptable.
There you go, Joanne. We'll help you get on the air too if needed. So, oh yeah, that makes sense. So, all right. So let's. You know what?
Something on the table. Huh?
Yeah, she needs something to connect to a table, is what she's saying.
Okay. Well, I've got something like that.
So we'll go back to our screen share. We'll go back over here. Now we're gonna go to the next question here, and it's gonna kick me out, obviously. Of course. And we'll go back into the no. Yeah, I guess we will. All right, so next question was what is the power limit for beacon stations? And I'll go ahead and let you guys kind of think that one out for a second here.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I do too. And all right, so you can still see our mugs over here. All right, Dennis, did you have anything else to bring out?
No.
No?
That was hardware.
Oh, okay, that was it?
Yeah.
I thought you wanted to share something else. Okay.
Well,
all
I
right.
do later.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, and I don't have any explanations on this one, but the answer is A on this one. 100 watts PEP output. 10 watts is a little low, although quite honestly, for a beacon station, my recommendation would be do a 10 watts. That way,
Well, they move in steps. They do a tenth of a watt, 1 watt, 10 watts, and 100 watts.
yep, exactly. 20 and 200 are just right out of there. Those two answers are basically gone. So I wouldn't
Well,
recommend even
well,
answering
the thing is, they move in a log scale, and 2200 just doesn't fit
that.
because it would move in. They move in a milliwatt log scale, so they're gonna move in. Um, let's see, milliwatt would be uh, 20 milliwatts, 30 milliwatts, 40 milliwatts, and 50 milliwatts.
Yeah.
Or 50, not in milliwatts, but you know, decibel milliwatts.
Yes. And then the next question that I was going to ask was when may a 10-meter repeater retransmit the 2-meter signal from a station having a technician class control operator? And the answer here is, I'll give you guys a few minutes to ponder that. I bet you Virgil's already like dancing in the street right now, raising his hand, going, I know, I know. The answer is B, only if the 10-meter repeater control operator holds at least a general class license. So it doesn't really quite honestly, it doesn't really make any sense because in order to have 10-meter retransmitting 2-meter, you should already have a general class license anyways, but
No, no, not true.
no?
Absolutely not true.
Okay.
Most
Why
of the
not?
10-meter repeaters have UHF and VHF crossband operation,
Okay.
and they do that so that technicians can get on HF.
Okay.
Um, so the repeater 29.610 and 640, like out of New York State, have crossband operation to Manhattan. At least I think it's 610, or it might be 640. Has crossband operation to Manhattan, and a lot of technicians will talk overseas to foreign operators from their HTs.
All right.
I talked to plenty of technicians from Arizona driving down on 10-meter repeaters from like 10-meter mobile, talking to technicians on the subway and stuff.
Okay.
And it really is a great way to get them on the air.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Likewise, a lot of the satellites used to be 2 meters up, 10 meter down back in the day.
Okay.
And as a technician, I did a lot of satellite operation with 10-meter downlink.
Okay. Well, there's a good explanation. And that's the reason why we still have Vinny in the club.
I mean, yeah. Well, no, honestly, 10-meter repeater operation, if you can get into it, it's fun as heck. I mean, it really is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've been driving down the street on my 10-meter rig, and all that requires is I had a ball mount and a 8-foot whip on the back, and my 10-meter HTX10, which is not an expensive 25-watt radio in FM mode. So I had a $60 radio, $25 worth of antennas plus coax, and I've been talking to, on 10 meters, I've been talking to people in Brazil, France, Germany, England, California, Boston, New York, all at the same time. And it's definitely, and it's crystal clear if you don't get a lot of repeaters crashing.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like you're talking on, I mean, sometimes you get repeaters crashing, but if you don't, it's like talking on the local repeater, except that you're talking over the world.
Oh yeah. All right. So the next thing that we were going to talk about tonight was the Arizona QSO Party.
It rained.
It rained and rained and rained and rained. It didn't stop some of us from getting on the air. We didn't make too many contacts. Technically, we made 20, I think 21 or 22 contacts. But half the logs are with Chad and the other half were with me. And so I wanted to hurry up and get get the logs over to the Arizona QSO Party as soon as possible, so I just uploaded mine, which was about 11 contacts. Um, we had some equipment issue this time around. I know Chad was having issues with his laptop, of course, laptop and radio, but that was because um, he had his old. Yeah, and this is gonna sound funny because the IC 7300 is a new radio. Okay, so he had an old one that he sold, and then ended up buying another one later on down the road. So he had everything all set up for his old radio, and some of the settings didn't actually transfer over for his new radio. So he was sitting there playing around with it, trying to get everything all to talk. And these new modern computers or these new modern rigs are um, a lot of digital back end, so you kind of have to be almost an IT person in order to actually get them to talk, um, which is fun. Um, so you have to actually play around with it, and I had a little bit of issues trying to get mine to actually talk with my laptop, and then of course I had issues with the actual software. Um, and that was my boo boo. That was just a little checkbox. That's all I needed to check, and I sat there for like 30 minutes trying to figure out what in the world was going on. And I didn't open up the menus and actually just start looking through the menus. I was thinking that maybe my software was bad. So, um, but again, and then on top of that, my laptop decided that it wanted to do updates. And since it was connected to the internet, it ran through all the updates. So, lesson learned here. Make sure that before you leave the house, that you have done all your updates on both your computer and your software, and at least dry run, run a dry run on your software and make sure everything's all working and everything.
Yeah,
Um,
you can also block the firewall ports or addresses used for the updates.
yeah, I could have done that, but I was just like, heck with it. I'll just let it go through it. Um,
Isn't there a way to shut that stuff off?
yeah, there is. Um, you can go into the settings and actually tell it, only do the updates when I wanted to. Um, but I rarely turn my laptop on, so it's one of those things where I kind of wanted to, as soon as I open it up, I wanted to look for updates. So, but that was the fun. That was part of the fun. Part of being out there in the out, out there in the field is learning these little lessons. So, um, I had a lot of fun with the Arizona QSO party. Um, we did use the drone to at least put up my antenna. Um, and Dennis, you had just the mag loop, right? Or no, you didn't have the mag loop this time around. You had the
No, I was just using a vertical.
yeah, the vertical. That's it.
I was trying my new radio, trying to get it to work.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Dennis was trying to get his new radio to work. Um, I ended up buying the FT 891 off of Dennis, so I've got somewhat of a newer rig. Um, and that was a lot of fun trying to play around with its settings because it's very menu driven. You kind of have to really go in there and actually change a whole bunch of settings in there. We had about 22 QSOs, Virgil. About 22 QSOs. We could have done more. We wanted to do more, but it was quite honestly, I think we were having a little bit more issues with the equipment, and that was kind of putting a damper on it. Um,
Plus, you had to dump the rain out of the canopy.
oh yeah, that was the other thing too. The canopy kept filling up with rain on the sides all the time, but it rained and rained and rained. The good thing is that place didn't turn into a soupy mess like I thought it was going to.
No, good
So
drainage.
yeah, it's very good drainage up there. I'm quite impressed with that because if we were up on the rim, I think it would have been just a mud bog up there. So, but then again, it might have been just the rain because it was like a Seattle rain. It was slow drizzle. Um, but we also tried other things. We did a little bit of decoding weather faxes. which is fun in itself. We'll do some more of that. I'll probably go right ahead and break my radio out one of these nights for one of these meetings, and we'll decode one. Um,
You're going to need an antenna to do that.
I've got an antenna out in the backyard right now.
You do?
I'm going to be actually putting it up all along the edges of the house here, probably in the next couple weekends. Um,
Put a flag on it.
but
Nobody will
quite
know.
honestly, I've already made 2 contacts off of this radio from here.
Good.
So both were, well, one was Pennsylvania and one was New York. So that's always a good feeling when you're able to make contacts off of your radio from. And the antenna, quite honestly, is about 4 feet off the ground right now. So
Couldn't
you know,
beat that.
at least I'm able to get on. I was trying to get FT8 set up because I would like to do a little bit of digital from the house. So, but when I get it all done and everything, I'll show pictures and I'll put up a little bit of a video and everything. So that way you guys can get inspired. And I do live in an HOA, so I kind of have to be stealthy about it. And as long as it's in my backyard, they're not gonna see it. So. But I had fun with the QSO party. We could have done more, especially if Frank was up there. Frank was only up there for one night and had to go work the next day. So he came up for the night and spent the night up there. It was cold. It was foggy the next morning. If you guys saw the videos off of our Facebook page, we were definitely bundled up. Um, Kind of wish we had a fire going the entire time, but it was a fun trip.
All the wood
So.
was wet.
My
get
wood
one of those
wasn't
propane
that wet.
barbecue.
What was
I
that,
wanna get
Vinny?
one- I want to get one of those propane fire pits, to be honest with you.
Well, Frank had his up there, and it was really nice. Um, so when he brings his, we'll definitely be using that a lot. We did hear the K7 RST. But they couldn't hear us. I don't know if that was just they were having a hard time hearing us because we were hearing them. And I don't know if they were just being selective on the hearing or if they
What
just
station
really
was that?
what
K7 what?
K7 Romeo Sierra Tango. That's the sponsor, the Radio Society of Tucson. We did hear them on, I think it was 20 meters. And we tried getting a hold of them for a little while, but they just couldn't. I guess they couldn't hear us or something of that nature. I don't know.
Maybe they're just being an alligator, all power, no sensitivity.
It could be. I don't know. So,
There's actually mountains between us and them.
oh,
Here in Tucson.
so Virgil is doing a presentation on FT8 at the ARA meeting on Thursday. That's going to be at the Denny's off of SR 143 and University in Tempe, Arizona. So everyone is welcome to attend.
Really?
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one. Virgil's always, I like Virgil. I like being around Virgil. Virgil's a great guy. He's got a great attitude and just he tries anything and everything. So Virgil's definitely one of the guys. If you ever meet him and everything, and you got to start talking to him. He's really definitely a great guy. So, and I'm not doing that just because he's on our chat room tonight. He's really a really good guy. So, Virgil does a lot for ham radio here in Arizona. He was the one that helped drive the license plate payment through the Arizona legislature branch. I think he was. I don't know, Virgil, if were you the one that was doing trying to push the HOA restriction thing through, or was that somebody else? I can't remember. And I think that you were doing something else here lately too, because I saw you on your page there. You were talking about something about the legislative side. So hats off to you, man. I don't really want to go down the political part of it. I have my opinions and
Yeah, they're tacking it on all kinds of different bills,
oh yeah.
and none of them are flying.
But we need people out there like Virgil, that's willing to tackle it and give it a try and see what it's like. And so, okay, so you wanted to get the PRB one passed in Arizona, okay? So hats off to you, man. I really appreciate people like you. You're definitely you're definitely a great image for ham radio, especially here in Arizona. So oh, yep, yep. Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Virgil, you were there trying to make sure that the no texting while driving laws, basically, I think it's actually the opposite way around. Doesn't include ham radio.
For ham radio.
Yeah. So, without Virgil being in there, he's definitely out there looking out for the rest of us. Um, I'll put a plug in there for the ARRL. There's a lot of people out there who have a lot of hatred for him. You know, the ARRL does a lot for ham radio, does a lot more than you actually think or even hear about. Um, do they always have our best interest? I don't know, and I'm not going to say one way or the other. Um, I'm a member of the ARRL just because, honestly, um, what I without them, there's no voice for us. There's no going to the FCC, like the recent thing with Baofeng radios. Um, the reason why I haven't mentioned or discussed the Baofeng radio and the Chinese radio thing on our Facebook page all that much, or our club website for that, is simply for the fact that the ARRL is still working with the FCC on the language and what's going to be allowed and what isn't going to be allowed. My opinion is, as long as they are being on the up and up and actually selling them as ham radio, I have no issues with them, with it, with the Baofeng radios. Other than the fact that yes, they do have spurious emissions, so you kind of have to understand that whole entire concept. But honestly, they've been getting better. Um, you know, so personally, I don't see what the big fuss is about. I could care less. If you want to own a Baofeng radio and you want to use a Baofeng radio, go for it. I'm not going to tell you not to.
If this is a big business, why won't the FCC just open a testing center in
China?
China?
That's a good question. One that unfortunately I don't have the answer to.
No, I understand that we may not want to actually open a testing center in Communist China, but what about Hong Kong?
Yeah, or Taiwan. So
Something the Chinese should accept.
yeah, exactly. Now, me personally, for new hams, I always recommend stick with the big name ones until you get your feet wet. Until you understand that, how to make sure that your radio is operating properly, how to make sure that you've got it programmed properly, things of that nature, and get the lingo down because some of them are all like, I don't understand this. Why do I need this code or that code or something of that nature? My recommendation is for all new hams to start out with one of the big three. Well, Alinco. I'll toss Alinco in there because Alinco's got some fairly decent equipment as well. So you got basically four manufacturers that I highly recommend. Um, Once you get your feet wet and once you've got the feeling of how to make a proper QSO, how to connect to a repeater, how to actually talk on a repeater, things of that nature, and you want to start exploring some of the other stuff, then go for it. I'm not going to say no. No Baofengs allowed in our club. I'm not going to say that. If you want to bring a Baofeng radio, bring one. Have fun with it. The hobby is about having fun, learning, educating yourself more than anything else. And I know a lot of people kind of have a little bit of issue with me saying that. Um, but in reality, amateur radio is about the hobby,
Yep.
first and foremost.
Anybody can afford their radios too.
Yeah, yeah. So, I say have fun. I'm not going to hold you back from having fun. And enjoying the hobby. So, um, if you want to try QRP, go for it. Have fun. That's what the hobby is about, learning new things. So, all right, now off of my soapbox there. um, I was going to discuss what happened to the bandpass filter class. I had announced that we were going to do a bandpass filter class on the 3rd of November, and I had asked for people to email me if they were interested. I received 0 responses in like a week or 2 weeks or something like that, and I know it was kind of short notice and everything. Um, so I wasn't too worried about it. So I decided to cancel the class for this year. We're definitely going to be bringing it back, but what I want to hear is what are your guys' thoughts? Do you guys want to do um, the bandpass filters? We can always introduce that into a club project for something like field day or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, my thoughts is I can't put the I want to do the didactic of it, but I don't finish up my masters until the end of May.
okay, until the end of May.
And
All right,
I
all right.
start my capstone in February, let's see. But I hit February, I hit my last class, and I hit my capstone after that, and I just can't do it.
Okay, all right. So Joanne was asking what is a bandpass filter, and just to clarify what a bandpass filter is that it's a block. And I guess I could run out and grab one really quick. You've seen them on our club website. Matter of fact, I'll go back over here. Let's go
Yeah.
into our.
I mean, I can even explain this really easy. Yeah,
It's
we call it a low pass filter. Means the lower the frequency, the more it lets it go through. And a high pass filter means the higher the frequency, the more it lets go through. And in a band pass filter, we just let a certain range of frequencies go through.
Yep.
That's all it means.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. And it's essentially a bandpass filter is you've got a high pass filter and a low pass filter, and
You got it.
essentially what they're doing is they're allowing the high frequencies from a specific frequency set to pass through, and then they're basically attenuating everything on the low pass side. So anything allowing the low frequency and the high frequency to basically be the low end and the high end, and everything in the middle between those two is being allowed through.
Yeah.
So, for instance, field day is a great time to run these because we'll have Vinny over on one side operating on say 40 meters voice, and I'll be operating over on another side of the park, operating on 20 meters voice. Now, with antennas being so close to each other, I would end up getting his transmission overlapping with mine, and he would end up getting my transmission overlapping on his. So we would always hear each other, and it would talk over each other. So what
Yeah.
happens with the bandpass filter is you plug it in. Okay, so I need the 20-meter bandpass filter. It allows everything for the 20-meter frequency range to pass through, and everything else it attenuates out. It basically drowns it out. So now all I'm hearing is just 20 meters. And I'm not hearing Vinny whatsoever on mine because it filters that whole entire 40 meters bleed over out of that whole entire picture.
Right.
Now, okay, Bill Smith, Bill Smith, I bought a $400 HT when I got my license in 2001. I have regretted spending that much money ever since. I would have bought a Baofeng instead if they were around. Bill, it all depends on exactly what it is. The ICOM ones, oh man, those HTs are expensive. I probably would not buy an ICOM radio um, for a first time radio. I bought an FT60R, and I love that thing to death. That thing is still working. I bought it in 2008, and the thing's still, and I've dropped it. I've had it out in the rain. I've had it, and I abuse the thing out of it. And I love it. I spent $180 on it. So, um, so there we go. So bandpass filters are actually an easy project. It's wrapping, what is it, three toroids. I used to have a diagram up on my bulletin. Actually, I still do have the diagram. Hold on one second here. Um,
It should be two toroids with a cap in the middle and then two caps with a toroid in the middle, right?
yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to transition over to my overhead cam here. Hold on one second here.
You know, what's the formula? 2LC and 2CL, right?
So that right there is the circuit design of the bandpass filter. Um, and basically the toroids are the longest piece of this whole entire project because you got to wind the toroids with the wire, and you have to be exact on the amount of windings that you do, and so it takes a little while. Um, and it's funny because we always talk about this. It's hilarious. Okay, so here's the diagram of it. Here's the diagram of
Upside
what
down, Ryan.
is it upside down?
Yeah.
Well, okay. So there's the diagram.
Flip the paper over.
So there's the diagram, and it is actually up on our website as well as a Facebook page. And I'll go ahead and post a link to the article. This came out of the ARRL magazine a long time ago, September 1988. Um, this project is actually very simple, and quite honestly, um, it's one of those where I highly recommend that all hams at least take the time and build a couple. Um, I think Chad paid, I want to say nearly $100 for one of them from like DX Engineering. I think it was like 125 or something like that. Um, I've made a set of four of them, 10 meters, 15 meters, 20 meters, and 40 meters for about $80. So I built four of them for $80. And the plan was we were going to basically get this all set up as a kit to purchase from us. And we would basically supply you with a piece of paper where you can go and get the instructions and things of that nature. And basically, you follow the instructions. The instructions are simple. Um, the hardest part of it was winding the toroids and doing the soldering.
Right. You should check it too, though.
Well, yeah, and the funny thing is, Chad and I were both using ours over at the Arizona QSO Party this couple weekends ago,
Yeah,
and
I saw 'em.
it was working fabulous. Because there was even a couple times when we were like, oh, let's go over to the weather facts and download a weather facts, and you'd tune it up, you'd flip the dial over there and dial it up, and you weren't hearing anything, and you were trying to scratch your head, going, come on, I should be able to hear this, and then it's like, oh, I've got the bandpass filter on. As soon as you remove the bandpass filter out of the whole entire picture, boom, it was up. So.
Well, I wanted us for the club to have wider bandpass filters too.
Yes, and
So
we were
12 and 10, and then like 15 and 17, or you know what I mean, so that
Yep.
we could do a couple of bands without having to switch them out.
Yep. Yep. We're still discussing that, Vinny. And we want to actually talk about it a lot more on Winterfield Day. So I canceled the class for the bandpass filter November 3rd just because I didn't get any response back. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to hold off until the time gets closer to field day. And probably what we'll do is we'll probably use a bandpass filter class as our educational bonus points for field day. We'll stop transmitting on everything, and we'll join over at a picnic table, and we'll get it all set up, and we'll make a couple for help a couple people. So,
Or we can do dummy loads too.
That's the other thing that I was thinking of too. And did I actually bring the book over? Is this the book? Yes, this is the book. Awesome. Okay. Speaking of the ARRL, um, I'm gonna put the plug in here. I like, I think I keep mentioning it, but the ARRL is very important for us. So with that in mind, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little plug in here for one of the magazines, QST magazine. Notice what's on the front cover here. Build this dummy load. Yes, we're gonna probably do one of these, if not maybe a couple more. Um, so definitely, if you join the ARRL with your membership, you obviously get the QST magazine. I am not sponsored. I'm not getting paid for this. The club is not getting paid for this. This is a plug for them. They do a good job on this, so kudos to them. So we will be doing a dummy load as well. So
Right. And I've got a design that we can use.
Oh,
But if you
there's
join the
there's
ARRL
100
through us,
designs of these things.
I just wanted to point out the club gets $2 of it back.
yeah,
Correct?
something. Yeah, what's that?
If you join the ARRL through the club gets a kickback from ARRL, which we can use to help fund ourselves.
Yes, and we got to figure out how we're going to do that. I wouldn't mind doing that. I wouldn't mind setting that up. We just got to figure out how we're going to do that. Um, so that's something that we can discuss after, or off the site. Oh, Bill Smith has a question here for the general questions. And this is for everyone. Everyone. Okay, if you are not near an airport, what is the FCC limit on an antenna height? I'll give you guys a few minutes. Go right ahead. If you think you know the answer, go ahead and put it in the chat room.
200 feet.
Or is it 1,000 feet?
No.
Is it 10 feet?
No.
You can only have a 10-foot antenna in your backyard? No. No. Okay, okay. So, Mr. Dennis over here
I read it the other day.
is actually thinking it is 200 feet. Vinny, do you concur?
Yeah, I believe it's like 75 meters at 200 feet.
Okay. And Virgil says 200 feet. Joanne, you interested in on this? And this is actually a good segue into my next little segment. The answer is actually 200 feet. So, and it's a good question. It's one that Frank had to ponder and think about because he lives close to an airport, and he actually had to get FAA certified to have a tower at his house. He actually did get it approved because he's basically along the center line of the airport. Planes don't typically cross the center line of the airport all that much. And
Sorry, yeah, it's 60 meters or 200 feet. Yeah.
okay, there we go. So the next little topic that I was going to go through tonight was something that I actually enjoyed in this month's QST magazine, or actually I think this is the November 2018 one. I have never actually been through this place. I would love to go just because I have a little bit of a astronomy background that I would like to do. So I would love to go take a gander at this place. The article was under the Radio Quiet Skies, and it's about the National Radio Quiet Zone. It's a very interesting little 13,000 square miles? Yeah, 13,000 square miles of Virginia, West Virginia, and I think a little bit of Pennsylvania thrown in there, where you're not allowed to have any sort of RF device. Now, ham radio is allowed. Um, However, they've got an actual FCC regulation out there right now that you're not allowed to be on the 33 megahertz band right now because they're doing a study in the 33 megahertz range. Um, but the cool thing is the telescope and even the NSA CIA facility there. Um, they will work with anybody and everybody on any RF emissions. They don't allow cell phones in there, so when you do go in there, I think this is where Superman actually lives because they still have phone booths. So
I read the article that
so
Socorro, New Mexico is another closer one you could go to.
yep. So this was actually kind of an interesting place right here. This was actually in the magazine itself. And if you are an ARRL member, I recommend you read it. It was a very good read. I enjoyed it. And I'll transition over here to the actual screen here. Here's their website, the National Radio Quiet Zone. There's only one. I think it's a AM radio station in that area. They don't allow cell phones. Matter of fact, the closer you get to the radio telescopes, they actually ban gasoline engine vehicles. You have to have a diesel engine vehicle. And that's because the spark plugs put out a lot of radio frequency interference, and they can actually pick it up. The radio telescope is that sensitive that it can pick up, spark plug noise.
I think of my generator. That thing made more radio noise
that
than
Harbor
anything.
Freight generator would knock out 3 planets.
Yeah.
It would knock the whole county out.
Matter of fact, I think that was they actually called up complaining about yours over here.
Never mind losing Pioneer 1 and Pioneer 2. They'll lose Mars.
Yeah. Voyager interference with Voyager.
I built a Faraday cage over that thing, and it didn't slow it down a bit.
But I urge you guys to look this up. This is a really cool place. And if you ever get to go visit, I recommend before you actually drive over there that you actually do send an email or a letter over to them to coordinate you driving in with your ham radio. They do have ham radio. Matter of fact, it is pretty much the only place in the United States that ham radio is the primary means for emergency communications other than the payphone and landlines. So, basically everybody knows everybody, pretty much everybody in the area.
Yeah. Not to make a joke, but that's probably not a place to experiment with Baofeng.
Yes. This would be a place that I would not take a Baofeng radio in. They will they will hunt you down. They've actually got vehicle. They've actually I should say several vehicles and several people. I think it's 24/7 round the clock that drive around looking for stray RF noise. And they will hunt you down. So. Okay, we do have one question here that I'll interrupt really quick here. Out West Outdoors just piped up and asked, just getting into HF and trying to decide what the best online QSO logging service. We use the N3FJP for our local stuff, for like when we do our contests and QSO parties and any of our events, we use the N3FJP, and then what we do is we upload to Logbook of the World. Now, Logbook of the World, this is one thing that I really wish the ARRL would work on, is making it a little more easier to do, because you have to email them, they send you a postcard in the mail, you have to fill out the card, and I think you have to mail it back, and then they send you an email with your information. Then you have to download the software and upload the certificate, It takes a little while. It takes about 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks to go through. But for just general logging, we use the N3FJP product. It's $50 for everything. If you just want just one specific slice of their product, it's like $8. There are other free versions. N1MM, another great piece of product. It's free. Go online, download the product. It is not as feature rich as N3FJP is, um, but it's actually not bad software. So, um, EQSL and Club Log is another one. Yeah, and like Virgil says, then everything synchronizes over to QRZ if you've got the QRZ page loaded in there. We use Logbook of the World um, for our online stuff. Um, so here I'm going to go back to the radio astronomy because I want to come back to the Logbook of the World thing here in a little bit because that's going to tie in with our next subject, which is winter field day. So we'll be talking about that here in just a second. I know it's a couple months away, but I want to touch bases on it, get you guys thinking about it, and everything. Anyways, the National Radio Astronomy Observatory has a 13,000 square mile box around it. And there's actually two different places in here. You've got Green Bank, which is where the astronomy is at, and then you got Sugar Grove. And I'll zoom in here. I'll let you guys take a look at Sugar Grove, and I will give you a hint as to what type of a facility. It is a 3-letter acronym.
Very large array.
No, and it's even right there. It's got a clue in there.
Listening station.
Sugar Grove NSA listening station. They do a lot of listening. This is the NSA site, and
Definitely we should see that.
that would be, I think
Yeah,
that would be
closer
kind of
it
fun
can
to. Now, where is my other? Let's see here. Shoot, where did it go? Where did it go? It's over. Where did? Oh, I'll have to bring it back out. Where did I go? Yeah, okay. And then over here is Green Bank, and it's actually in Virginia. Green Bank is actually pretty cool. This would be fun to visit for astronomy buffs and things of that nature. Yes, Corey, NSA, the not so secretive agency, or or no such agency, I should say. There's that's it. That's the agency. Yeah. So here is and guys, if the black helicopters are flying around my house, ignore them. So.
Yeah, I don't know this guy.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry. Here's basically here's the observatory. You've got several different telescopes over here. I think you even have. I think there's one that. Yeah, this is one that they've. These two guys, I believe, are joined together as a linked system, and then you've got the bigger telescope. This is a. I think this would be a fun place. I don't know if we can actually drag.
No, these aren't the telescopes. These aren't the huge telescope. Where's the huge telescope that receives for like the deep interstellar stuff?
I think you're thinking about the Very Large Array in New Mexico.
Is that the one that does the Voyager stuff?
Ooh, good question. I thought that was out of Texas, though.
I don't know. There's 3 of them around the planet, 120 degrees apart.
Yeah.
One's in Australia, one's in Spain, and one's somewhere.
So, but these guys, these are what they're doing is they're doing experiments with listening to planets, listening to deep space. Jupiter's kind of too close for them. But they're listening into the great unknowns of the universe. These are the ones that end up spotting, black holes and things of that nature. I think it'd be kind of fun to venture in here. Um, just so you know, I believe, if I'm still correct, if you want, I believe the naval base over in Sugar Grove is still up for sale. So if you want a if you really want a really quiet place to go with a lot of buildings and everything, I believe that this is. I think they're trying to get the Navy's trying to sell this lot. So, um,
It's like a high school there.
well,
Tracks.
that's for the Navy base to run and do all their exercises and
Well,
everything.
that looked like a football field to me.
Oh, that's a little pond, a little lake for
Okay.
firefighting services, I believe, if I remember right. Um, but something to think about there, something to ponder for a little bit there. Anyways, the National Radio Astronomy Observatory, and you can always come in here and read exactly what's going on here. They've got some really great information. Um, and I was quite impressed with the article that they actually wrote in the QST magazine. They did a really good job of talking about it, and the fact that ham radio actually is allowed in the zone is actually quite impressive, especially for a place that doesn't allow cell phones. Matter of fact, as soon as you drive, pretty much as soon as you start driving across the threshold into the place, you end up losing service. So um, it's not a place where you want to go and sit there and go, yeah, let's get on the cell phone and talk. Um, there is a radio club in there that does field day from there. I don't know if we've ever talked to them. I'd have to look at the logs and everything, but I think it'd be kind of fun to do field day from the National Quiet Zone. So, anyway, that was something that I thought I would put a plug in there. Hope the ARRL doesn't mind so much. And if you're interested in joining, feel free to jump over to the ARRL website and join. They're a great organization. Hey, Joanne asked how much is that facility. You know what? I don't know. I would love it, but I don't
If
know.
they sell like other military surplus, it'll be less than market value.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, and I think it'd be kind of cool to live in a place
Buck
like
98 and you pay back all of deficient taxes.
um, and it's kind of interesting if you go online and you actually look this up and you actually start reading some of the articles. They've got quite a few articles about it. Um, they're just now starting to allow Wi-Fi routers in the facility. There is one ski resort that they interviewed the IT person for the ski resort, who said that he always ends up having troubles helping his guests get make phone calls due to the fact that most of the people that go to the ski resort end up like not realizing that as soon as they get in there they have no cell service. So it's I thought it was kind of interesting. A little tidbit out there. Um, it's something to think about. Matter of fact, when you are a ham radio operator in the area, you're required to use um, low power. So that means you need to bump your power down from the 50 watts that you typically do all the way down to as low as possible. I think they have like 3 or 4 repeaters in the area, um, and yeah, they've got a couple other restrictions, but the observatory and even the government actually will um, send a letter out to all the hams in the area, letting them know, hey, listen, you can't be on these specific frequencies from this date to this date due to an experiment or something of that nature. So um, I thought it was kind of interesting to see that the government and you know the observatory be mindful of ham radio and be very respectful of ham radio. Um, I thought that was interesting. So a little bit of history and a little bit of geography, as well as some information about a super cool place to go visit. So all right. So the the next topic that we were going to go into, which was a great segue about talking about logging and stuff, is Winter Field Day. Um, Winter Field Day is coming up here in, well, yep, okay, there we go. January 26th and
That's
27th.
bright. Ugh.
What's that?
That's bright.
Is it?
Yeah, my eyeballs out. Go from that green to the blue.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Winter Field Day operating from Arizona is a time to kind of, um, shall I say, brag? I don't know if that's really quite proper term because last year my dog's water dish had a thin layer of ice on it. So, uh, yes, we do kind of suffer out there, but.
Oh yeah.
Oh, come on. You see pictures of people up north, like in igloos and stuff, and we're down here wearing shorts and lemonade. And every time we put our pictures up, they want to come down and murder us.
Oh, well, it was actually quite cold at nighttime. During the daytime, it wasn't so bad. It felt pretty decent.
Oh, that's great. Day on day.
Where we have Winter Field Day is going to be up at Lake Roosevelt at the Grapevine Group Campground, and I've already got it linked into our on our website. We have it down going from January 25th through the 28th, which is, if I remember right, it's the Friday through Monday. So we have the site reserved throughout that whole entire time. You don't have to show up on the 25th. You can show up on Saturday and spend the day like Joanne. Joanne showed up on Saturday and we sat around, talked with her. We helped program her radio, her Yesu radio. Yes, it is, Joanne. It is the same place as last year. So it's only like an hour and a half drive from Mesa area.
Depends on which way you go.
Yeah, true.
Actually, better to go through Globe, I think.
Yeah, I kind of agree about that. It seems like it goes faster. I don't know. But it's in the same area that we had last year. If you want to come in here and see exactly where it's at, you can click on the Winter Field Day. It'll take you over to the actual site. We do have. I thought I had a Google Maps in here. Maybe I don't have that set up yet. Anyways, campfires are usually allowed because at that time of year we don't really have we don't have fire bans and stuff. Let's see here. This is kind of a bring your own event again. We will have radios to share, so if you don't have a radio and you want to get on the air, feel free to come up. We'll get you on the air. Yeah, there are charcoal grills up there. We do have running water, just an FYI. They do have toilets and showers. See here, we will have at least 3 antennas, if not 4 or 5 antennas up. And if you want, you can bring a kayak and go up there and do a little bit of kayaking around. See here, but the only downside of this place is we have to actually bring in all of our equipment. We don't. There's no tall trees up there, so we can't like launch an antenna up into a tree. Yeah, Bill, I would like to have Winter Field Day just a little bit later, but unfortunately I don't control that. That's the that's the site. That's that organization does the dates. If you want to know the rules, come on in here and click on the rules. The rules are very simple. They're kind of like regular field day, except that it's wintertime. They have indoor, outdoor, and home. We're typically outdoors because we're at least 30 feet away from our normal station location. At least I'm hoping that Lake Roosevelt is more than 30 feet away from my house.
I hope so too. I've been fishing every day there for a while.
Oh yeah. We're allowed to use things like the park pavilion, the canopies, picnic tables, things of that nature. We do not operate our radios off of shore power, which is the plug-ins there. we run it off of a generator. So um, Frank brings his generator up, and that usually powers. Actually, it powered four of our radios with no issues.
Oh yeah.
We had no issues whatsoever with that generator. So, um,
Do we have any nighttime restrictions on that?
due to the fact that there are, technically speaking, we're supposed to shut down at 10. However, last year and it looks like this year, there is nobody else in the campground, and the
Yeah.
campground host said, operate all you want. Campground host was actually very friendly to us. Um, he recommended that we shut the gates towards the late evening and everything so we don't get anybody in. So if you're planning on coming up like past sundown, you need to notify us so that we know that you're going to be coming up. Um, Other than that, if you're going to come up throughout the daytime, we'll have the gates open. Um, if you want to just come up for the day and spend a couple hours getting on the air or visiting with us, you're more than welcome to. Let's see here, what else? Um, the nice thing about Winter Field Day this year, and currently we are at 900 and I think it was like 46 total QSOs, according to Logbook of the World. So right now we are about 55 or 54 QSOs shy of going over 1,000 QSOs. Now, not all of them have confirmed. Matter of fact, I think it's like 256 have confirmed or something like that. But we're thinking about probably doing like a cake or something like that. Kind of celebrate going over the 1,000 threshold. Now, for a lot of you out there, you're probably like rolling your eyes, going, "Ooh, great, thousand contacts. You guys should have a lot more than that." Well, the majority of our operators are basically Chad, myself, Vinny, Frank, and occasionally Dennis. Dennis usually is our spotter, so he'll be tuning around and he'll hear stations and let us know where they're at and everything. Um, so we're typically 5 people, usually using about like 3 to 4 radios. There's been events where we've only had one radio. So for 1,000 contacts, that's actually not too bad. Um,
But those are, no, we've done many more. Those are 1,000 confirmed contacts.
those are 1,000 according to Logbook of the World. So
Yeah.
we've done a lot more than that.
1 in 10 response on that, isn't it?
What's that?
Usually get 1 in 10 response on that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
We've probably done 10,000 contacts.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say 10,000 contacts, but I think we've done a lot because there was times when we were operating and using just a paper log, and we would get over like 120 to 200 contacts a weekend.
Well, no, I'm just saying, if we go here to, let me give you an example. QRZ.com, right?
Yep.
When we look up our call summary, for example. When I put in something wrong, Charlie.
Okay, you're breaking up there a little bit on that transmission there, Vinny. Find a better antenna placement or bump your power, please. Hello, Vinny?
We have 1,734 contacts in QRZ, okay?
How many? How many again?
1,734 in QRZ alone.
Okay, so QRZ, we have about 1,700 contacts. According to Logbook of the World, we have just shy of 1,000. So
it depends what logbook service. They're not all linked together.
Yep, exactly. I'm going to go with the Logbook of the World since that's the ARRL. QRZ, yeah, a lot of those I think we've put in, in the on the back end and everything. But we're gonna chase this 1,000 QSOs for Winter Field Day. So.
Yeah. I'm just saying we could be up to 2,500 or more.
Yeah.
Between paper and all that.
Yeah, exactly. But if you guys can't make it up, if you guys can't make it up to our winter field day site, um, feel free to work from home. There is a home category here. You're more than welcome to jump in there and make a few QSOs from your own rig at home. So, don't hesitate on that. Um, Matter of fact, I kind of actually encourage it because the more you get on the air, the better off everything else sounds. So, keep doing it, and don't sit there and say, "Well, I can't hear anything on 10 meters. 10 meters is dead." Jump on there, see if there's call out for a little while, and see if anybody comes to you.
Well, look at this way. It just missed field day, but right before field day started, Chad hit Europe on 6 meters.
Yep, yep. And
He
we
just
were,
was outside of field day by what, an hour or two.
yeah, it was about an hour or two.
So
So,
I mean, anything can happen.
yep. Now this starts at noon on Saturday and goes to noon on Sunday. And I figured, well, I'm going to be taking the Friday off. I'm going to be taking the Monday off as well. So I figured we would go up there on Friday and come back on Monday, and allow a little bit of time to kind of relax after the event, and maybe try equipment in different modes beforehand as well. Last year we did really good with voice and PSK 31. Between Frank and Chad and myself, we did fairly well. I think we did 130. I think it was 130 between basically two radios and essentially three operators. Now, Vinny, are you coming up?
Yeah, I scheduled for the week off.
Okay.
So I'll have 11 days off straight in a row, 10 or 11 days off.
Nice. Okay. Okay.
Now,
So
I have school in the middle of it, but that'll give me the weekend off solid.
okay. All right. Good. So that's going to be fun to have Vinny up there working. Um, Vinny and I typically we tag team on one of the radios. Uh, One of us will log, and the other one will do the voice, and then we'll swap out, save our voice, and the other person will take over logging and everything. And I love it. I love operating like that. Um, I love working with Vinny like that. Vinny does a really good job. So,
Yeah.
and
We
then we
have to
did.
tap each other out though. After what was it? I had 83 contacts in 3 hours and forgot my own name.
Yes, and
I get
you know
angry
what?
about
I'll get you some of those. Hello, my name is stickers for you this year.
it. I forgot my name and call sign in phonetic alphabet. He said it was time to come off the radio.
That's all right. We were able to contact a Romanian ham radio operator off of the coast of Chile. He was on a ship that was that weekend, I believe, and I had fun.
And I discovered the magic of the 12-meter band.
Yes.
That became one of my favorite bands real
Yep.
fast.
Yeah, and I think that same weekend, or it might have been another weekend. I had fun on 15 meters, talking to basically all over Europe. So, who knows? We'll see what happens here.
Now,
So,
what are the bands allowed for Winterfield Day? Are there same bands?
yep, same bands. Let's see here. It should say somewhere here. It's basically all the work bands. Um, it doesn't say. All amateur bands except for 12, 17, 30, and 16. So, and I know 17, while we were up there, I was hearing rumors that people were getting some people from Europe on 17. So,
You can do, well, this is cool. You can do D-Star and DMR, which you can't do on field day.
that is correct. Um,
So they're allowing cabled bands, anything that uses a transatlantic cable, like DMR and stuff. That's really cool.
oh, yeah. We might even actually. No, unfortunately, Virgil, none of us have worked the VP6D on Ducey Island. They've been very prevalent. I've been hearing a lot of reports from the 100 watts and wire group. Um, don't forget they're working split, I believe. So if you hear them, you might have to. There'll be people sitting there yelling at other people, saying they're 5 up or they're 8 up or something like that. You'll have to run your radio in split mode in order to make contact with them. Um, but split mode could be fun, especially if you're going to go after something like Ducey Island, which is one of the DX entities that are one of the most wanted, I think, right now.
That's funny.
um,
Any amateur radio thing that says it's 8 up is just funny.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, I think they were doing 8 up for a while, and then they dropped down, and somebody was saying that they were doing 5 up, and then they changed and did like 10 up or something like that.
Yeah. No, just 8 up was an Army expression we used to use for screwed up.
Oh, Section 8.
Yeah, exactly. It's 8 up.
Gotcha. All right. The one thing that I would like to try to do, and we're gonna have to sit down and do this. I'm gonna have to talk to Chad and see if we can do this. Um, I would like to get us another QSO card for Winter Field Day, and I'm gonna have to convince Chad to see if he can do it again. But I would like to try to do slow scan TV with our QSO card. I think that'd be kind of fun to do. Um, we were gonna try to do it last year, but I don't think we ended up doing it, and I don't know why. I think we just either ran out of time or something else was going on. So, um, but slow scan TV has been one of my dreams to at least operate at least once, um, and RTTY is the other one that I want to try. I have no experience with either one of those two, so we're gonna have to do it up, or we're gonna have to try that. So, and I don't see why we can't do it. So, we've got the technology and we've got the brain power behind it. So I think we can do it. So was there any other questions? Okay, so let me go back through here. Out West Outdoors was asking what we use for online QSO. I think we kind of answered that. We do Logbook of the World mostly, but we also have EQSL and QRZ when Chad uploads them, because I think he's got all that all set up. I've got Logbook of the World all set up, and I think I'm not 100% positive, but I think Chad said our Logbook of the World should be synchronized with QRZ, or it might be the opposite way around. If it was the opposite way around, it would be synchronizing with QRZ, which would mean that we'd have 1,700 contacts. So that's not it. See here. Those new to HF, take your time. Don't panic. Mic fright is a true thing, and you can get over it. It just takes a little bit of practice, and it takes a little bit of patience on the other person's side. Most ham radio operators, especially if you say this is my first time on HF radio or something like that, they'll slow down. They'll be patient with you. We've even heard operators during field day, they'll be sitting there just hammering contact after contact after contact, and all of a sudden there will be a kid get on the air, and all of a sudden the operator will basically slow down what they're doing and basically work the kid, talk to the kid, do a little bit of rag chew and things of that nature. And then once the kid signs off and the parent comes back on, or the adult comes back on and says, thank you for the contact, things of that nature. Then he would end up going right back to it. So there are a lot of really good operators out there, and those are the people that we appreciate and we strive to be as well.
Well, our club is kind of weird because we always put contests in secondary. If we have somebody show up who hasn't been on the radio, or kids show up, or somebody who's not a ham, we'll spin over to a non-contest band and put them on the air.
Yep.
And take a contest station right off the air, because
Like for us, the context is secondary to education.
Yep, exactly. And there's quite a few people who have issues with getting on the air for the first time. They're all like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna screw up. I'm gonna say the wrong thing." There's no such thing as that. Um, Especially with if you've got a good coach sitting next to you, coaching what you need to say and things. We have a whiteboard, and what we'll do is we'll write down exactly what you need to say, and we'll put the whiteboard in front of you so you can basically read it verbatim. Um, and we've had quite a few people who've gotten on the air um, after about like maybe 5 or 6 contacts. All of a sudden, they started feeling really comfortable being on the air, and they'll run with it. Um, so don't be afraid to get on the air. I love it. I enjoy being on the air. I'm a rag chewer, so long-winded. Virgil knows that. I know Vinny knows it. Um, was there anything else out there? Was there any other questions? Does anybody have any questions or anything like that? Um, we do have one other question here we can ask. If an amateur radio station is installed aboard a ship or an aircraft, what condition must be met before the station is operated? The answers are the amateur station operator must agree not to transmit when the main radio of the ship or aircraft is in use. Answer B is the amateur radio operator must have an FCC marine or aircraft endorsement on his or her amateur license. Answer C is the amateur radio station must have a power supply that is completely independent of the main ship or aircraft power supply. Or D, its operation must be approved by the master of the ship or the pilot in command of the aircraft. I'll let you guys ponder that. Answer up in the chat room if you feel like it. I already know what the answer is. What about you, Dennis?
A.
A. Okay. Well, I was thinking.
I know the answer, but I don't like it because there's more to it than the answer.
Well, yeah, but what they're striving for, and this comes off of, I believe this is coming off of the general class question pool.
Which means that you wouldn't be able to do it outside of the country anyhow, or international waters.
Yes. Okay, so we got 2 people saying D. The operation must be approved by the master of the ship or the pilot in command of the aircraft. And that is actually the correct answer. The correct answer is you must have approval from the master of the ship or the pilot in command of the aircraft. There are cruise ships out there that some do allow you to have your ham radio equipment on board. Some don't. And before you venture on board, you need to make sure that the cruise line is okay with it, and then you still have to ask the captain of the ship for permission to do so.
Now,
yeah.
And I want to throw in a caveat that this question doesn't address because I don't want people getting in trouble.
Okay.
You also need to make sure that if you're inside the 12-mile limits of another country, you're licensed in that country.
Yep.
And you have to have a reciprocal operating license for the country the ship is flagged.
Yes. Yes. And that.
So if you're on a ship that's flagged in a European country, you need your extra class license.
Yep.
And if it's a European ship that's in South American waters, you're going to need your IRLP license and your extra class license. People don't. That's why I don't like that question.
Gotcha.
It's tricky.
Yep. So a lot of times hams will think that this automatically means that they could just board a cruise ship or something like that and set up on their balcony and start transmitting. And just because you got the cruise ship company's permission doesn't necessarily mean that the captain of the ship is actually going to give you approval.
Right.
So.
In fact, you can get in trouble if it's a European ship in U.S. waters if you don't have an extra class license.
Yep. But the main reason why they say this is because mostly because of they don't want the interference interfering with their shipboard activities. A lot of them have their own business class license radios to communicate from engine room to the bridge, or down to the Lido deck or the poop deck or wherever. Um, and a lot of times, if you're operating, you might end up interfering with them, and so they just want to take that whole entire thing out of the equation. Um, there are some cruise ships that they're perfectly okay with that. Um, but again, you have to ask the captain of the ship to get permission for it. And my recommendation is try to get it in writing if possible. Um, Now, the reason why this came up was because Chad N7PHX was operating aircraft. What was it? Um, Aircraft Mobile not too long ago, and there was I think there was somebody that was sitting there questioning whether or not he was fully qualified to do that. The answer to that question is he was the pilot in command of that aircraft. He was basically flying that aircraft. So,
Right. He was in U.S. airspace.
yep, he was in U.S. airspace. He was the one who was piloting the aircraft, so he had his own permission. It'd be kind of strange if he said no to himself and still transmitted, but you know, but no. Every once in a while, when was it? It was a couple. Well, it was actually this year. I was going out to visit my dad over in Quartzsite, and I was actually talking to somebody in an airplane on my way over to Quartzsite. Uh, I think he was actually on those way down to the Yuma Ham Fest, actually, and he was flying along the Colorado River, and I was picking him up on Simplex, 2 meter Simplex, and we were having a great QSO for quite a ways. Um, I had fun talking to him that way, so it can be done, and it has been done. So,
Well, you're gonna laugh. I just read on a blog where a guy got on a repeater and he announced himself and his call sign is Aeronautical Portable.
yep.
And somebody replied, "Don't you mean Aeronautical Mobile?" And he goes, "No, I already stepped out of the plane."
So, was there any other questions? Any comments? Did anybody else, Bill? Did you have any other questions that you wanted to throw in there from the general question pool or anything? Um, Here's a good question. This is one that with Parks on the Air being out there, what must be done before placing an amateur station within an officially designated wilderness area or wildlife preserve or an area listed in the National Registry of Historic Places? The answers are an environmental assessment must be submitted to the FCC. Uh, Answer B is a Form FSD-15 must be submitted to the Department of Interior. Answer C is a letter of intent must be filed with the National Audubon Society. Or D, a proposal must be submitted to the National Park Service. I'll give you guys a few minutes here. Virgil says he has a video of him talking to Kurt KE7KUS on 6 meters from an F-16. He was a flight instructor out of Luke Air Force Base. Now that would be a fun QSO to have, especially from an F-16. I mean, that's
where they stuck the antenna on that thing.
Right on the canopy. He just reached around, opened up the canopy in midair, stuck the mag mount up there.
600 miles an hour. Yeah.
C, a letter of intent must be filed with the National Audubon Society. Somewhat close there.
Well, we don't have to, when we go up, we don't have to talk to the National Park Service.
Because we're not in a national park. We're in a national forest. They have
Forest
different...
Wilderness area.
Yes, it's not a designated wilderness area or wildlife preserve either.
Well,
I don't know what a national wilderness area is. That's my question.
And I have not added an explanation in here. All right, so the actual answer is close, close with the D, close. It's actually an environmental assessment must be submitted to the FCC. Um, at the same time, I would be talking to the National Park Service to get permission. So this is one that, like Vinny had an issue with the other one. Um, I have an issue with this one because there's a lot more to operating in the designated wilderness area or wildlife preserve than just an environmental assessment. You got to get permission, you got to get written permission, you've got to go through a whole bunch of rigmarole, and we're talking about the national wildlife parks. Um,
So this doesn't include the national forests that we use?
no, it does not. National Forest is not an officially designated wilderness area or wildlife preserve. Um,
Because it's not part of the U.S. Forest Service, it's part of the Department of Agriculture.
yes, yeah.
So
Um,
U.S. Forest Service is out, Department of Agriculture is okay, and Wikipedia, it's not included.
yep.
So
Um,
National Park Service, Forest Service, Fish and Wildlife Service, and Bureau of Land Management is out, but we can use Department of Agriculture, which is most of the National Forest Services in Arizona.
yep, exactly.
That's tricky as frick.
Oh, it is. And I don't really like the wording because it doesn't really talk about um, a designated wilderness area because, what
Can I
is
flip
it?
on the picnic table and read who owns it before I can transmit off it?
Yep, yep. Um,
well, I've seen hams up on the
Well-
Flatiron on the Superstition up there. They
oh, yeah.
get up there. And,
Yep. Yep.
Well,
As a matter of fact, there is a designated wilderness area over here in the Superstitions that you can't technically transmit from.
Now, here's my question, though. An environmental assessment must be submitted to the FCC. Now, if you keep your power limits below the threshold that requires an environmental assessment, do you have to do that?
That's a good question.
Because we're always 100 watts or less, so I would assume that since the FCC says an environmental assessment is not required under Part 97 to be submitted to the FCC, I
Yep.
would assume if you keep the power levels below that requirement, and they don't require an environmental assessment below certain power levels, if you keep your power below before that, does that question even apply?
It's a good question because there's a couple national wildlife areas here in the state of Arizona, way down in the south area near the border of Mexico, that are actually wildlife preserves. And I know that I've seen people supposedly operated from the parking lots. So,
I think the club is a club. Maybe we should prepare a clarification question for the FCC because those two rules conflict with each other.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, the Matazel Wilderness. I mean, is that a wilderness area? Do we have to get permission to operate from there? What about
No,
the? Yeah,
just a simple question. If it's, if
that's interesting. Because all
the
these guys
actual
on.
wilderness area and the
Flatiron.
environmental impact
I've
study.
seen them up there.
Oh yeah.
Through my telescope.
Yep. And
Is
the
it environmental impact or is it environmental assessment? Is that RF exposure environmental assessment?
That's a good one. And this was the whole reason why I brought this up was because this one always kind of confused me. It's like, okay,
And the other thing is, an environmental assessment must be submitted to the FCC for a
Yeah.
temporary station, a permanent station.
yeah, exactly.
I would assume if it's a temporary where you set up a portable station, that doesn't require an environmental impact study. There's
Yep.
no environmental impact on a portable station.
So the way I would tackle this is if you know that you're going to be within a specific area, would be to reach out to the actual park entity, whether it be the Forest Service, the National Park Service, and get clarification on it before you actually go out there.
Right. I'm just saying environmental impact. If you don't stomp anything into the ground and use a tripod, that's no environmental impact.
Now, places like Wake Island, I know that they do an environmental assessment before they go out there, and they submit it to both the FCC as well as the National Park Service. Um, but that place is a little tricky. You can't just drive your little minivan up to Wake Island. Um, if you do, let me know the make and model of that specific minivan because I do want to buy one. Uh, you you got to cross a large swath of open water, the ocean.
Yeah. Right.
So, um, and plus to get out there to Wake Island, you actually have to take a chartered aircraft that only the National Park Service has already approved. So it's not like you can ask Chad to fly you out there. You actually the pilot and the aircraft have to be certified by the National Park Service to land on that island, and there's only certain time frames that they're allowed on that island, and so on and so forth.
Chad to fly you out there. He's just going to charge you a lot of money for the fees and permits.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But I do know that people do actually operate out of there, and it's one of the DX entities and everything. Um, so Bill Smith was asking what frequencies are in the general 40 meter band. And we've got several different choices here: 7.25, 7.5, 40.200, or 40.500.
What's the question?
What frequencies are in the general 40 meter band?
40 general meter band?
Yeah, I would kind of need a chart myself.
I think it's 40.200 to 40.3.
Is that the 40 meter band?
Oh, the 40 meter band?
Yes.
40. Oh, so that's going to be 7.175 to 7.300.
Yep. So it's going to be the letter A on that one. That's a good one.
I'm not even looking at charts. I just go by memory.
7.50 is out of the band, and 40.2 and 40.5 are not actually in the 40 meter bands. So,
no.
That was a good question, Bill. I like that. Yeah. So, any other comments or anything of that nature? Because we're about ready to wrap up. Unless somebody wants to continue on, because I could go on for probably about another half hour or more. But knowing me, the rag chewer. So we're gonna definitely, Vinny. I definitely want to try more of this Zoom operation a little bit more. So sometime in the next month we'll have to test it out a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm going to give them a little homework assignment too.
Okay. All right. Here we go. We got a homework assignment for everyone. Go ahead, Vinny. Take it over.
Okay. What is slope detection?
What is slope detection?
And why did the old radio-controlled cars have different receive and transmit crystals?
That's a good one.
Because they used FM for the RC cars, but they had different transmit and receive crystals. And the answer lies in slope detection. What is slope detection?
All right. I'm going to say slope detection is the ability to determine exactly what type of a ski slope you're on.
There you go.
Yeah.
Powder or wet?
Yes, and whether or not you're in avalanche territory or not. That's always important right there.
Oh, it's very interesting when you do it because you can actually do a few. It's fun to play with once you know about it.
Okay. Well, that's going to be a topic for our next next meeting, which is what day is it? November 27th. I know that's right before not Halloween, Thanksgiving. That's the Tuesday right before Thanksgiving. Is that the Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. Right before Thanksgiving. I don't expect everyone to be here, but we'll have Vinny talk to us about slope detection. Does that sound fine with you, Vinny?
Yep.
All right. So we'll turn the reins over to Vinny on that time, and he can talk to us about that. Um, oh well, see, Virgil's saying he likes these virtual meetings. Um, I like it. I like it because I feel that it connects with a lot more hams. Um, I don't know where Bill Smith is. I don't know where Out West Outdoors is. I imagine Out West Outdoors is someplace in the Arizona area, only because he was talking about the Superstition Wilderness area.
That's a national wilderness area? It's a state wilderness area.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll have to look that up. We'll come back with the answer on that.
Mm.
We'll try. We'll try to find the answer to it.
I walk up there all the time. I see people up there all the time.
Well, and I've walked through that area with my HT all the time. So, yeah, I like these virtual meetings as well. We're going to still try, I think next year we're going to still try to do, 3 quarterly meetings? Okay, and Bill's in Mesa as well. So, welcome, Bill. You guys are more than welcome to join us on our physical meetings as well. See here, did we have November as a virtual meeting or as a actual physical meetup meeting? I can't remember.
Well, you don't say virtual.
No, it doesn't say virtual there. Now that's got me thinking. And it says venue, so that's actually going to be a face-to-face meeting. I'm going to have to email the Mesa building to verify that we actually have the room that night. But we will also be doing a virtual meeting from there. So if you guys can't make it, don't feel too worrisome over that. So it's an actual meeting. So why do I have 2 winter field days here? Gosh. That's because the actual field day is on that specific day. There we go. That's what it is. Yeah, you guys are. If you guys are liking these virtual meetings, definitely let us know. I do have this recorded, and we will. Well, it's actually being recorded on YouTube as well. So it'll be up there, and I'll link over to it when we're all finished and everything. It'll probably happen tomorrow. But feel free to venture through our YouTube channel and see if there's any other meetings. The one thing that was brought up, we were discussing this over Arizona QSO Party. We were talking about the virtual meetings and stuff. And one of the comments that was made by, I think it was Chad that said it, was it's not necessarily the quality of the meeting, but it's actually the quantity of how many you do and whether or not that drives anything. So I might actually do a couple other little short videos here and there. So I will also announce that when I'm doing those, or when it's actually been recorded. So you guys
what's the argument? It's the quantity versus quality?
It's the quantity, because we were talking about how many people actually visit our, how many people are actually on our YouTube channel and stuff of that nature. And it's the people that end up getting more viewers are doing it often. And it's not necessarily like, okay, like Dave Kessel does, I think he does like a video a week or 2 videos a week, but they're short videos. So I think that's what he was kind of hinting at.
Okay, so you got to find the balance between quality and quantity.
Yep. So I was thinking, one recorded video.
Yeah.
Yeah, one recorded video and one virtual meeting, live virtual meeting. I should hint at.
That makes sense. Given the modern era, people have less time for a big long meeting.
Yep. So I don't mind doing the long meetings, um, because it gives us time to do discussions like we did with the antenna setup for
Yeah.
the couple. It gave us a little bit of time, and obviously it gave our viewers, oh wow, they're apparently this couple reached out to multiple clubs throughout the valley asking for assistance, and nobody else answered except for us. So this is one thing that we try to strive to is if somebody asks a question, we try to answer it. You can always send an email over to Kilo Echo 7 Victor Lima Charlie at WM7RC.org or admin at WM7RC.org. Um, you
Or
know,
even uh, N1L2J at mesahams.net or WM7RC.net.
okay.
Um, but I think it's mesahams.net. I'm not sure if I got. I'm not sure if I have a WM7RC.net.
Yeah, I'll have to get I'll get Chad to hook you up with one of those because he's basically the admin for that side. So, but anyways,
Yeah, no,
feel
yeah,
free
see,
to email us a question.
I have mesahams.net. So I'm N1L2J at mesahams.net.
Okay. So feel free to email us questions, comments, suggestions is a big one. Feedback is another big one. If there's a topic that you would like us to discuss, please discuss or please send it over. Um, Feel free to make a comment on one of our Facebook pages. Um, we'll definitely answer questions in there. Um, Follow us on Facebook because I do post to Facebook quite often. Um, see here, what else? I think that was about it. So I'm going to say 73. I hope everyone has a good evening, unless there's something else. So,
I don't have anything.
okay. Well, I'm going to say 73 everyone. Hope you guys all have a great evening. Be safe out there. Um, you'll definitely see us a lot more. Definitely stop in, check out our YouTube videos, check out our photo gallery on both sides, um, on the Mesa Radio Club website as well as Facebook. And Winter Field Day, we will be broadcasting live on Facebook as well as YouTube that weekend. So don't be too surprised if all of a sudden you see us on Facebook Live.
That's right. We do have connections there, don't we?
Yep, we did that from Winter Field Day. So hope you guys like those types of videos because we'll definitely be doing those. So with that, I'm going to say, hope you guys all have a good evening. 73s.